A very good morning to my brethren and friends. I'd like to welcome especially the guests who are in our midst and also the guests who have logged online to join us for our Sunday service this morning. Thank you for taking the time. It's a very cool, rainy morning, and I'm sure many of us sometimes would like to sleep in. Nevertheless, I hope that your time that you spend with us will be fruitful, and that I hope you will have a good time as we dig deep into the Word of God to learn more about the topic that's prepared this morning. This is a Friendship Sunday for us. It is a particular Sunday of the month where we will try our very best to cater, to pitch the topic such that it will cater to the interests of our friends and our guests. And for that, I am very thankful that you have joined us today. We're going to look at this topic of interest this morning, which is what does the Bible say about dinosaurs? All right, what does the Bible say about dinosaurs? Now, I'm sure you will agree with me. Oh, this is not.
Seem to respond. Skip on the not press one.
In the non-case window, we go to this window. Okay. Hope you all still can hear me. Yeah, okay, and those online as well. Sorry for the technical glitch, all right? We will carry on with the topic today. All right, so I'm sure, as I was about to say, I'm sure many of us agree that no visit to a museum is complete without a huge fossil or skeleton exhibit of a dinosaur, right? I mean, I'm sure, if you had you're fortunate to have visited museums around the world, especially the larger ones, I'm sure then you would somehow, some way get a chance to look at or to behold huge exhibits such as this. Okay, this is one that's previously from the British National History Museum. Okay, not only that, we also have one back here. Okay, in Lee Kong Chuan Museum. All right, that's at NUS. So if you're the kind who likes to be fascinated by such big, huge exhibits, then please feel free to visit the place. It's quite informative there. The T-Rex, okay, the T-Rex or Tyrannosaurus Rex, okay, as we all know it, right? Okay, I believe this is 45% of the fossils, okay, are there. Okay, the rest probably they have tried to piece it together with other bones and other exhibit pieces. Okay, this is found in the American Natural History Museum. Okay, so indeed, these creatures do capture our attention and fascinate us. And I'm sure we all know that they play a really significant part in our life, some way, somehow. The movies, okay, in the movies, for example, Jurassic Park, I believe there are already 6 movies from the Jurassic Park franchise. All right, one more slated to come out next year. Then you have this massive statue in Japan, okay, of this creature by the name Godzilla. All right, also inspired and by the movies, right? And then you don't forget, okay, even the children are not spared from dinosaurs. You have Barney and friends jumping around the stage here and there, teaching children what to do and what not, right? Values about life through dinosaurs like Barney, okay? And then I'm sure some of you will recognize this as well, right? Yeah, this is the Rapids, right? The Rapids at Universal Studios Singapore. Okay, quite one of the better rides there, I would say. So if you hadn't had your thrill fix, I would suggest that you visit the place. Okay, a pretty exhilarating ride. Okay, and quite recent times. Okay, I mean, I'm not asking you to look at the 2 girls in the photo. I ask you to look at the background. Okay, behind the girls. Okay. This would be the Jurassic Mile that we have in Changi, right? Somewhere very near the Changi airport. You have this mile for you, this trail, okay, with a lot of the dinosaur fixtures. I think for those who managed to visit the place in the early part, when it was open to public, you would agree with me that it was really a rather wonderful trail to walk and enjoy the exhibits until someone got hit by a golf ball. Right? And then with that, you have the netting and everything, and yeah, it just makes it more crowded and difficult to enjoy the exhibits, right? Okay, so yes, dinosaurs are everywhere in our lives, okay, in that sense. So today, with that in mind, I bring us to the outline of the message, okay? These 3 areas of interest we shall explore. Can we find dinosaurs in the Bible? And did they actually exist? Next, we look at what happened to the dinosaurs. And last but not least, we will look at what we can learn from the existence of these dinosaurs themselves. So moving on, can we find dinosaurs in the Bible? To answer this question, okay, there are some things we want to consider. Number 1, consider the origin of the word dinosaurs, okay? Now, in Greek, all right, this word dinosaur, okay, is put together by 2 parts, okay? In Greek, okay, Dinos, which means terrible, and saurus, which means lizard. So putting these 2 together give you the word dinosaur, okay? And this is actually coined by this person by the name Sir Richard Owen. Okay, he is a naturalist, he's a paleontologist. Okay, he coined this term in 1841. Okay, and he used this term actually to describe fossils of extinct reptiles. Okay, and of course he did a lot of study. Okay, but this the inspiration for this word came about, okay, when he studied 3 large fossils that bore resemblance to reptiles, and yeah, it bore resemblance to reptiles in some way, in some fashion, and with that, okay, he came up with this term. All right. Next, consider now that the youngest book in the Bible, the youngest, is the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation, right at the end. If you have your Bibles, it's right at the end of the Bible, okay? This was somewhat written and completed in about 95 AD. Okay, 95 AD. And then, okay, the first translation of the English Bible, the Bible that was translated into English, the first translation that you can find as early as you want to trace it back, somewhere around 1382. Okay, this has been attributed by this person, by John Wycliffe and his supporters, right? So we put these dates together, then, okay, we can safely say that actually it is not surprising that we cannot find this term dinosaur inside the Bible. Nowhere are you going to find the word dinosaur in the Bible. If you flip your pages of the Bible and you find the word dinosaur there, show me, and I'm pretty sure it's by someone you know. It's probably written by your child or something. Yeah, but you can't find it there. It's not printed there, okay, in the text itself. All right, so it's not surprising because you put the years together and yeah, that's how we understand that you can't find this term specifically. Well, that being said, there are many things that exist, right? We will agree. There are many things that exist or even existed in the past, okay? Even though we cannot find the specific words in the Bible. You can't find the dodo, right? Woolly mammoth, right? These are some species or animals that have existed. You can't find them, okay? A lot of these things that we even know today, okay, cannot be found specifically in the Bible because the Bible is not a lexicon. It's not like it doesn't like contain a list of the whole everything in the universe, all right? So it's not meant to be read that way. So doesn't mean it is not there. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, okay? We must also not be too narrow. Consider that, you know, sometimes when we talk about dinosaurs, the first thing that comes to our mind is a T-Rex. Wow, that big dinosaur that's probably 2, 3, 4 stories high. Yeah, when we say dinosaur, oh, you know, you have the Brontosaurus, wow, the one with the long neck. Yeah, so sometimes we narrow our definition of this word dinosaur. Okay, so we say that it must be this height, it must be this size, it must live on land. But really, is that so? Or is that just our limited knowledge and understanding? So with this in mind, okay, let's consider other things. Okay, so there's no dinosaur in the Bible, all right? We can't find this word specifically. What then should we look out for? Well, do note that there's this word, okay, this Hebrew word, tanin. Okay, this Hebrew word tanin, okay, is actually used to refer to monsters, dragons, serpents, and by extension, even dinosaurs. Yep. And this word tanin can be found in the Bible. I will give you some examples of where this word can be found. Of course, it's non-exhaustive, okay, but just to show you some samples. Okay, in Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 33, okay, it reads there, the wine is the poison of dragons. Okay, the word tanin is used there. The wine is the poison of dragons and the cruel venom of apes. Okay, this word there, dragons there, okay, is mentioned in this verse. And if we look at the context, it's talking about the heathen, the people who do not know God. It's a description of the people who do not know God. All right. And the next one, the Psalmist in Psalm 148 verse 7 inside the Bible itself. Okay. The Psalmist says, praise the Lord from the earth, ye dragons and all deeps. The word dragons is mentioned over there. In fact, if we do a quick skim from verse 7 downwards, we will find actually a list of things that we all know exist without a shadow of a doubt. You look down, verse 8, verse 9, just look down, you will find a list of things we all know exist. So with that in mind, shouldn't the dragon somewhat exist as well? Think about it. Next, Psalm 74 verse 13, it reads, thou didst divide, thou here, the psalmist is praising God. Right? Thou didst divide the sea by thy strength. This is probably in reference to the parting of the Red Sea, okay, to God's power, right? Thou breakest the heads of the dragons in the waters. So these are just 3 instances of which this related word tanin is used in the Bible. You can find more of these, certainly, of course, but of course with the time that's permitted today, we shall not explore every single one of them. Now, specifically in the Bible, we can find 2 creatures that are very, very, very much related, like to dinosaurs, if we ever want to consider this term dinosaurs. So the first creature that we want to consider written in the Bible is the Behemoth, right? The Behemoth, all right? Now this is found in Job 40. Job 40 verse 15 to 19, right? It reads there in Job chapter 40, right? God tells Job himself, he says, behold now, Behemoth, which I made with thee. He eateth grass as an ox. Lo now, his strength is in his loins. His force is in the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar. Right? The sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong pieces of brass. His bones are like bars of iron. He is the chief of the ways of God. he that made him can make his sword to approach unto him. Right? Now take note of some of the words that I've highlighted here, or I have actually made emphasis, okay, by coloring in or bolding these fonts. Right? The strength is in his loins. The force is in the navel of his belly. Interestingly, if you're wondering what a cedar is, okay, I just put a picture of a cedar tree there. Okay, a cedar tree is huge. It's huge, it's matured, right? He moveth his tail like a cedar, like a tree, a heavy log, a heavy tree, right? It doesn't swing around, right? It's not so tiny as it seems, right? And of course, he is the chief of the ways. The chief, he's the first of the ways of God. Why first? First in what sense? Because of his size, because of his stature as an animal, as a creature. That's why he's the chief of the ways of God. Next, if we carry on reading in verse 20, it says, surely the mountains bring him for food. He goes to the mountains to get his food, where all the beasts of the field play. There are many beasts there in the mountains. However, nothing is going to keep him away from finding his food. He's going to get it there. He's going to get there anyway. He's going to get his food in the mountains, regardless of the beasts in the mountains. He's not afraid of the beasts. In verse 23 to 24, it reads, behold, he drinketh up a river, and hasteth not. He trusteth that he can draw up Jordan. The word Jordan here refers to the Jordan River itself. Okay, he trusts, he's confident that he can draw up Jordan into his mouth. He taketh it with his eyes. His nose pierceth through snares. Very powerful description of this particular creature that God has made. And when we consider all this, right, what can it actually be? What creature so magnificent can we relate it to today? Certainly very difficult to find. There are people, of course, in this world who put these verses together to read it, and they assume that it could be an elephant. And they assume also that if it's not an elephant, then it probably could be a hippopotamus. These two beautiful, wonderful creatures are found in the Singapore Zoo. And you can see them, and yes, as majestic as they are, I don't think the description is going to fit entirely with them. In fact, the part of the tail, when you consider the tail, in the description, in the book of Job, it says he moves his tail like a cedar. Look at the tails of these two animals. They are no cedar. They are like little whips, or like they just move and swing around as they walk. They are very cute little tails actually, right? So if you put them all together, clearly you can tell that they are not the behemoth. Okay, the behemoth is far greater than all of these. The behemoth is the chief of the ways of God. That is something to take note of as we consider what this might be. So that's the first creature we consider. The second creature that we consider will be the next chapter of the book of Job, the Leviathan. Wow, big words indeed, the Leviathan. What exactly is this Leviathan we are talking about? Let's read from this Job 41. In fact, it's a very lengthy description of the Leviathan, and I would want to just pay attention to certain phrases and expressions that are used to describe this creature. In Job 41 verse 1 onwards, okay, it reads, can thou draw out Leviathan with a hook? Can we fish it out? No, we cannot. It's rhetorical in nature. Or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Can thou put a hook in his nose or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Certainly, these are all rhetorical questions. No, we cannot do all these things. We carry on reading down to verse 7. In verse 7 onwards to 9, it reads, can thou feel his skin, the Leviathan, this creature by the name of Leviathan, can thou feel his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? You can't do that, right? In fact, the writer says, lay your hand upon him, remember the battle, do no more. Yeah, you won't even try again. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Who's going to get him? Now, some people think that, especially in the past, if you can capture all those wild animals, then you want to display the wild animal in your home, whether it's in the form of the wild creature's head, or maybe you even want to raise it as a pet, or whatever the case is, right? It's something to be proud of, it's something to be boastful of, right? But here it says, behold, in verse 9, behold, the hope of him is in vain. right? Nobody's going to think of capturing that creature, that's for sure, right? Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? Cast down, feel dejected, look at him and you're cast down. Okay, no chance at all to even capture this. Okay, now carry on, okay, with the description. Okay, in verse 14, it says, who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. All right, of course, the picture here is just an illustration of maybe how terrible it might be. All right, of interest though is what I want to show you, okay, in the verses following. Pay very close attention in these verses though. Verse 18 onwards. In verse 18 it says, this Leviathan, by the Leviathan's nestings a light doth shine. The nesting says like the sneezes or the snorting of this creature, okay, the breathing out. Okay, by his nestings a light does shine. His eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Where? Of his mouth. Next, out of his nostrils goes smoke, as out of a seething pot or cauldron. His breath kindleth coals, and the last part there, and a flame goeth out of his mouth. Wow, this sounds something that we probably can relate to, don't we? We have seen, or at least we can think of a particular creature that we can relate to as we read this portion of the text. Right? We carry on. What's so special about this creature? In verse 29, darts are counted as stubble. He laughs, this Leviathan laughs at the shaking of a spear. Is man going to come to it with spears and try to do something to it? He's going to laugh at all this. Okay, he makes a mockery of all these spears. Sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp pointed things upon the mire. He maketh the deep, the waters, to boil like a pot. Or even either by virtue of his temperature or either by virtue of his movement. Consider the imagery that's used here. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. And of course, in verse 34, he says, this Leviathan beholdeth all high things. He looks upon them. Right? He's not afraid. He is a king over all the children of pride. Indeed, this is a majestic creature we are talking about. It is no crocodile. It is no creature that we maybe can find today. It is something that's beyond our imagination. Certainly then, I posit to you that this could be one of the dinosaurs or even a dragon. Are these supported by historians? You may be wondering. Are these supported by historians in any way? Well, if you do a search, yes, you can find them. You can find them, okay? I'm just going to show you some examples, okay? All right. Now, Herodotus, all right, this is a Greek historian, okay? He lived between this period, 484 to 425 BC, okay? A famous historian, okay? You can do more research about him. This is what he wrote, okay? He said, I once went to a certain place in Arabia to make inquiries concerning the winged serpent. So he says, winged serpent, take note. On my arrival, I saw the backbones and ribs of serpents in such numbers as it is impossible to describe. You can't even describe the numbers that you saw there. The story goes that with the springtime, the winged serpents come flying from Arabia toward Egypt, but are met in this gorge, okay, by the birds called ibises. Maybe you start to think of ibises, okay, maybe you know them, which forbid their entrance and destroy them all. The Arabians assert, that's what the Arabians say, and the Egyptians also admit, so the Egyptians support what the Arabians say, okay, that it is on account of the service that's rendered that the Egyptians hold the ibis in so much reverence, in so much regard. The winged serpent, okay, is shaped, now he describes, is shaped like the water snake. However, its wings are not feathered, but resemble very closely to those of the bat. So this is another example of a creature which we probably cannot fathom in today's context because they are not here anymore. Next, one more just for you. Marco Polo. We know Marco Polo. We sometimes read about him in our history books, don't we? Yes. Well, he's the first Western traveler to write about his travels to places which is now known as China. Okay, that's in the 1200s. Okay, what did Marco Polo, this famous traveler, actually say? Marco Polo says, when you reach the province of Karazhan, which is also the name of his chief city, okay, here are seen, look at that, huge serpents. Well, okay, he says serpents. Okay, you may think it's a snake, but think about the descriptions that follow. 10 paces in length and 10 spans in the girth. The girth means the width of the body. If you are wondering what a span is, okay, all right, you take your hand, you stretch them out, okay, from the tip of your thumb to the tip of your small little pinky there. Okay, that length, okay, that will be one span. So the width here is recorded 10 spans. So just put your hands together, you can know roughly how thick, how wide this creature is. Okay? Now, take note, at the forepart, at the front of this creature, interesting, near the head, what's happening there? They have 2 short legs having 3 claws. Take note, it's claws. It's claws, alright? Like those of a tiger, with eyes larger than a 4-penny loaf. Because just put 4 pieces of bread and put them in a square, and you roughly have a sensing of how big this is. Okay, with eyes larger than a 4-penny loaf and very glaring. The jaws are wide enough to swallow a man. The teeth are large and sharp, and their whole appearance is so formidable that neither man nor any kind of animal can approach them without terror. Not any kind of animal. Somehow I can't help but I just recall it as I'm standing here. Down here it says, not any kind of animal can approach without terror. You know, there's this sometimes you read documentaries of how the crocodiles at the Nile River, they open their mouth and then you have this little bird that goes inside and starts to pick all the food particles that's stuck in the teeth of the crocodiles. Yeah. So it's different. It's not the case. This is not a crocodile. Okay? Because now it's saying that any kind of animal cannot approach it without terror. I don't think the bird will still dare to fly in the mouth if it's afraid. Okay? So these are just 2 pieces of evidence, textual evidence, which you can find, and there are certainly many others which you can find online. Okay? Now, what other evidence can we find to support the existence of these dinosaurs? Okay? Petroglyphs. Petroglyphs are carvings that you can find. Alright? So the picture is over there for you to enjoy. Okay, at this Kachina Bridge in Utah, okay, you can find these pictographs and these petroglyphs. Okay, this is left behind by this group of people, Anasazi people. These are the native people back in that time when they lived there. Alright, so you can find carvings. Alright, this is believed to be between 500 and 1,500 years old. Okay, and it reads there about 50 miles from that area, okay, where you can find this particular petroglyph, okay, and this petroglyph happened to resemble something we all know and love, right, when it comes to dinosaurs, right? Okay, about 50 miles from that area, at a dinosaur museum, there lies 2 actual fossils of an excavated dinosaur. Okay, dinosaur hip, okay, from none other than a Brontosaurus. So we can see the uncanny resemblance to this carving indeed. One more just for your interest, right? Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat. Some of us probably have had the opportunity to visit that wonderful place. Okay, it is a wonderful place to go to and visit. It's huge. Okay, now there's carvings, lots of carvings at Angkor Wat. All right. Well, this particular carving that you see here on the screen. Okay, this is found at a Taprom, I don't want to butcher the name further, okay, temple in Angkor Wat. Okay, and this seems to be the carving of a unique creature which somewhat looks like Stegosaurus, you know, the one with the spikes, the wooden spikes at the top of the body. Okay, Angkor Wat temple dates back to the 12th century. 12th century, you know, okay, that's not as distant as we think, right, when we compare to what some people say about when the dinosaurs lived on Earth. So when we consider the evidence and put it all together, what do we have? There can only be one conclusion. The dinosaurs existed and they lived among humans contrary to modern beliefs. Right? Modern beliefs say that the humans and the dinosaurs lived apart from each other. Okay, and very, very much so. Well, the land-living dinosaurs were created on the 6th day of creation. Okay, and we can see that in Genesis, in the Bible, in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 24. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beasts of the earth after his kind, and it was so. So this was done on the 6th day. Okay, in fact, everything was done in 6 days as far as creation is concerned, right? In Exodus chapter 20 and verse 11, for in 6 days, now the Hebrew word yom there tells you it's 24 hour literal days, okay? For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all there is therein. And he rested the 7th day, wherefore the Lord blessed the 7th day and hallowed it. So certainly then, if you ask me, when were the dinosaurs created? I would tell you they were created by the 6th day of creation. And they were created with man. Because shortly after Genesis chapter 1 and verse 24, we see the creation of man. So what happened to the dinosaurs? What exactly happened to the dinosaurs then? Okay, yeah, I get it. They were created. They exist. Yes, we all sort of know that, right? They exist. They're created. What happened to them? Well, there are a lot of theories that are put forth by man, right? For example, some say that a huge asteroid came, it hit the Earth millions of years ago. In particular, okay, if you follow this theory, it says that it hit Mexico, okay, 65 million years ago, and it resulted in some earthquakes. I mean, not some is an understatement. Okay, earthquakes, tsunamis, darkness, so on and so forth. All the trouble, it basically spells trouble. Okay, spell trouble for those that were on Earth, in particular the dinosaurs. Okay. However, there was another study that contradicted this theory, okay, because it was published in 2008, okay, rather recent in 2000s. It revealed that the massive die-off, okay, of the dinosaurs, okay, that's what it says, okay, happened 300,000 years after the asteroid. So we can see that sometimes when there are theories that are being put forth, okay, these theories are debunked many years later. Okay, so is this true? Possibly not. Okay, in fact, certainly not. Right, this is not true. So what happened to them then? If it's not an asteroid, what happened exactly to these dinosaurs? Well, if it's not an asteroid, which is the case, then certainly a worldwide flood seems to be the most reasonable and probable cause of mass destruction of these dinosaurs. Okay, why do I say so? It's because of the evidence of multiple dinosaur graveyards around the world. So what you see there in the background, okay, all those that are in red, hopefully on your screen, okay, these are just the spots, okay, that mark up, okay, areas where you can find the dinosaur fossils, the graveyards, okay. So this suggests that a worldwide flood did happen, and there was mass destruction of these dinosaurs, right? So, if we study the secular literature, okay, many explanations for these dinosaur graveyards, they point to isolated flash floods as reasons. Like, why is this graveyard here? Oh, because there's an isolated flash flood. There's a flood. Okay, that's what they say. In fact, I kid you not, in an article published on lifescience.com, okay, titled World's Largest Dinosaur Graveyard Linked to Mass Death, okay, what they say in the caption, there's an illustration there. In a caption, it reads there, a herd of these cantrosaurs, okay, a type of horned dinosaurs, drowning in a flood millions of years ago, is what is now Alberta, okay, as depicted in this illustration. They left behind what it could be the world's largest dinosaur graveyard. In that same article itself, okay, the text, in the text it reads, the way the fossils were linked together in the same layers of earth within these bone beds suggests all these centrosaurs were wiped out simultaneously. So let's piece all these things together. Titles such as Dinosaur Graveyard, believed to hold more than 100 fossils discovered in Wyoming. These surface every now and then. Okay, I took this. Okay, this is in 2019. Okay, on this particular website. And even in this article itself, it reads that it's believed they died together in a catastrophic flood. So we see when we put all these things together, These actually very well support that indeed there was a worldwide flood. That's why there's so many graveyards and they're all concentrated. Right? Well, the Bible tells of a global flood in the history of the earth. What was the cause of this global flood, you may ask? Why was there even a flood? Right? In Genesis chapter 6, verse 5 to 6, okay, it reads there, "And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart." So God saw the wickedness, the evil that was on earth, and he was very upset with it. That was a cause. What was the solution? So in verse 7, "And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I made them." So that's a God's solution to this problem. Okay? Then he instructed this person called Noah. Okay? What did he instruct Noah to do? Okay, because Noah was pleasing to God. Okay, everyone else, so many people, okay, around the world, when God looked around, he saw evil, he saw wickedness, he was so upset. Right? He came to Noah. Okay, and Noah was pleasing to God. He told Noah in Genesis 6, verse 13 onwards, "And God said to Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shall thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch." So in short, this is the instruction to Noah. Okay, it's going to save him, save his family. All right, create an ark, a huge ark. Okay, then of course, once that's done, and of course the story goes on, the flood comes. Right, in Genesis chapter 7 and verse 11, it says, "In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened." There, the flood comes in already. Okay, by Genesis 7 verse 11. How bad was it? How bad really was the flood? Okay, it's not like an Orchard Road flood. Okay, it's a global flood we are talking about. Okay, it's not a flood that goes to knee level and people go screaming and say, "It's a flood." It's not like that. Okay, in Genesis 7, it gives us an inkling of how bad really it was. Okay, verse 18 says, "And the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters, and the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heavens," the skies, the high hills that were under the whole heavens, they were covered. 15 cubits onward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. So this gives you a sensing. The mountains even were covered. That is high. That is no normal flood, my dear brethren and friends. Alright, indeed, this is a global flood of catastrophic, epic proportions. Even so, the global flood did not cause the extinction of the dinosaurs. Well, it did result in mass destruction of the dinosaurs, but it didn't wipe them out completely. Okay? Man continued to live with dinosaurs. That's why we have all the evidence that you have seen thus far. Man continued to live with dinosaurs easily, even hundreds of years after the great flood in Noah's time. Okay? At the same time, let us not forget that there was an ark, and the dinosaurs themselves would have been brought into the ark as well. Okay? In Genesis 6 verse 19 and 20, this is the instruction to Noah. "And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shall thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. And there shall be male and female, of fowls after their kind, of cattle after his kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind. 2 of every sort shall come into thee, to keep them alive." Certainly, did the dinosaurs survive the flood? Yes, they did. But only those few. Okay, not so many. Alright? So what happened to the dinosaurs? Well, if you want to ask me for an answer, this is what I propose to you. Okay, we must note that the living environment changed drastically after the flood. So if you look at this chart over here, this chart contains the age. Okay, the age of the early patriarchs, the age of the people, of ancient people, the men. Okay, so if you see after Noah, you can see a pattern. After Noah, you can see a pattern. Okay, it doesn't take you more than 30 seconds to find that pattern. Okay, you can see that there is a sharp decline. Okay, in the age of man, there is a sharp decline. All right, so man's lifespan on Earth dwindled significantly. Okay, so we compare, of course, like what I said, compare the human life expectancy before and after the flood. You'll notice. Okay, if you go to your Bibles, check the years. Okay, you will realize that really the lifespan has dropped significantly. Okay, in fact, after the flood, God gave man to rule over creation and to even eat of it, to eat of the meat of all these creatures as well. Okay, before this, before the flood, things were fine and well, and God gave man the herbs to eat. Okay, so these factors, when we consider this, these factors may as a whole may have led to the extinction of the dinosaurs as we know them. Okay, for example, problems with reproduction, since there were limited numbers, not to mention technology, there's practically none in that sense. Okay, I was fortunate enough to go to China and visit that panda farm, panda garden, lack of a better word now, okay? Yeah, and they were sharing with us how they get the pandas to reproduce, and so much technology and so much effort being put into it just to raise the pandas and help them to reproduce. Then one pops out, yay! They are so happy. Okay, you have all this technology that supports these creatures to help them. You can't find all this technology in the past. No such thing, okay? Not even an injection. Okay, so problems with reproduction, probably, since there were limited numbers, okay? Man may have hunted them to mere extinction. Yes, because remember, man could have these animals for food too. Okay, so man could have well hunted them as well. Okay, similar to many of the extinct animals which we know and love. They were probably affected also by the changed climate after the global flood. Things have changed, indeed. So, the climate would have affected them as well. Right? In fact, the climate has changed. In Genesis 8 verse 22, okay, it reads there, while the earth remained, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. So these things were not so obvious. These things were not there. These kind of delineations were not there, okay, before the flood. After the flood, all these things come into play. So certainly, the ecosystem has changed drastically, and that's something that's worthy of consideration as we consider the extinction of these dinosaurs. What can we learn from their existence then? What can we learn? We talk so much about dinosaurs. What can we learn? Okay, firstly, we learn that there is a great, all-powerful creator. All right, in Nehemiah chapter 9 and verse 6, it says, Thou, even thou, art Lord alone. It's a praise to God. Thou hast made heaven, the heaven of heavens, with all their host, the earth, and all things that are therein, the seas, and all that is therein. And thou preserve them all, and the host of heaven worshipeth thee. Right? Indeed, God is great. He is an all-powerful creator. And through the dinosaurs, we can tell that he exists. God is so powerful that he created the wonderful dinosaurs. Right? No one else could have created them. All right? Well, if you think about it, if you are amazed and you are awed by dinosaurs, if you go to a museum and you are awed by the spectacle that is the size and the sheer majesty of the bones themselves, then I would like to tell you that God is even more fearsome and powerful, because God is the one who made these creatures. This same God is the creator of not only dinosaurs, but also man. He created mankind, and mankind lived with the dinosaurs, as we have explored earlier today. God has left man his word. God has left man his word. Our creator knows that it is important to reach out to man. And how did he do it? He left us his word. He left us the Bible, so that we know what He wants from us, so that we know exactly what He wants us to know about Him. Okay, and we can find this reference in 2 Timothy 3 verse 16. Well, the fact that we can find information about dinosaurs in the Bible also tells us that the Bible is such an amazing book, isn't it? It's an amazing book. You can find information not only about dinosaurs, but you can find information about the afterlife even. So it is really a book worthy of study and meditation. And the message that God has for man is revealed in the Bible. We don't have to look any further. We don't have to go to famous individuals. We don't have to go to historians to find out about the way of life. We don't have to go to enlightened individuals who learn about this and that because of their experiences in life. We don't have to do all this. All we have to do really is to go to the Bible because the message that God has for man is there. He is our creator. So we just need to go directly to Him, but we need to study our Bibles to know how to get there. In Psalm 119 verse 105, it reads there, Thy word, the word of God, the Bible, is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. It is the guidebook. It is the book for man, for all eternity. And that is something we have to go to know God. Well, we have come to the conclusion of the sermon this morning, and we have studied these three subcategories in relation to dinosaurs. We have looked at the fact that we cannot find the word dinosaur specifically in the Bible, but we know they exist. We know they exist through the descriptions. We know they exist through the words used in the Bible. What happened to the dinosaurs? Well, certainly not an asteroid that hit the Earth, but we know that there was a flood. We know that conditions changed drastically after the flood. We know that the dinosaurs lived with man. And what can we learn from the existence of dinosaurs? We learn that there is a marvelous, awesome creator. And this creator has made man. And this creator wants us to go back to Him, to know Him, to understand His will, to find Him. And all we have to do is to study the Bible. So with that, thank you for your kind attention. If you have been studying with us, and if you have decided that you are persuaded by the Word of God to be a Christian, I would like to urge you to be one as soon as possible and delay no further. And if you are interested in the message this morning and you're interested to learn more about what the Bible actually says, I also like to encourage you to join us, to study with us. You can even contact us through our website, or for a start, you can also visit our YouTube channels and our Facebook channels to reach us. Thank you very much, and I hope that all of us will have a pleasant day.